Where does time begin and end? In this mist-shrouded village where stone paths wind through centuries-old homes and autumn leaves blaze like embers against jade-green hillsides, Wuyuan's Huangling is a place where history breathes in every cobbled corner and nature paints its soul in every hue of sunlight and shadow. Hi everyone, welcome to Huangling in Wuyuan, a hidden gem nestled in Jiangxi province where time seems to pause mid-step on its way to somewhere else entirely. This village isn't just a destination, it's a living tapestry woven from generations of resilience and artistry. Built by the Hu family during the Ming Dynasty as a refuge from war-torn lands, Huangling's labyrinthine alleys still echo with whispers of its past as they curve around weathered wooden beams and tiled roofs that have weathered storms for over 500 years. The villagers here didn't just carve their homes into hillsides, they sculpted a way of life that thrives on harmony with nature's rhythms. A philosophy etched into every detail from their terraced fields to their ancestral halls adorned with calligraphy that speaks of patience and prosperity alike. The air here carries an ancient stillness that feels almost sacred as you step onto its narrow lanes flanked by moss-covered walls leaning gently toward one another like old friends sharing secrets over decades of shared sunsets and monsoons. In springtime, cherry blossoms cascade from terraces like delicate snowflakes, while wisteria vines drape from eaves in deep indigo curtains that sway with each breeze, carrying scents of damp earth and blooming jasmine through alleyways worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. But it's autumn that transforms Huangling into an artist's dream. The entire village becomes a canvas ablaze with color as maple leaves ignite into fiery reds and golds, while rice paddies turn amber under crisp skies heavy with mist that clings to rooftops like gossamer veils at dawn or dusk when light filters through pine trees in fractured beams that dance across stone thresholds etched with symbols older than most visitors' memories. Here, life unfolds at a pace measured not by clocks, but by seasons. The rhythm of tea harvests dictates mornings spent picking tender leaves beneath towering camellia trees whose blossoms perfume even the coldest air with their heady sweetness. Afternoons are reserved for quiet rituals beneath ancestral shrines where incense curls upward in slow spirals toward heavens long forgotten by modern maps, yet vividly remembered by those who have lived here for lifetimes unbroken since Ming Dynasty days. When these very stones were hewn from mountain slopes using only chisels made from ironwood trees whose roots still grip tightly below ground level today, as if holding onto something more precious than mere soil. A connection between past and present so profound it feels tangible when you touch these walls grown warm from generations' touch before yours ever did. There's worth of weathering underfoot beneath them now amidst bustling markets where women sell hand-woven textiles, dyed using pigments, ground from local plants, while elders trade stories over steaming cups brewed from leaves grown just beyond those same terraces, which have fed this community since before recorded history began here among these hillsides, brimming with secrets waiting only for curious eyes to uncover them beneath layers upon layers of tradition preserved not through books, but through daily acts passed down like heirlooms across family lines unbroken since 14th century origins when these homes first rose from. Earth shaped by hands rather than machines, yet imbued nonetheless with an enduring spirit that refuses decay even as time marches forward outside its gates toward places where modernity hums louder than heritage does beneath creaking eaves still echoing faintly. Perhaps even now with laughter long faded yet somehow lingering within every carved wooden beam waiting patiently until someone comes along who might hear them again if only they listened closely enough between heartbeats measured. Against distant temple bells ringing out at dawn above rice fields rippling gold under morning light, casting long shadows across stone courtyards where children once played barefoot, before now they're replaced by tourists snapping photos while trying not to disturb what feels almost holy about this place, where every step seems to tread lightly upon centuries-old memories stored within walls built not just for shelter, but for storytelling across eras, uncounted yet palpable when you walk through them, feeling their weight against your palms as if holding on to something eternal, even though your fingers can only grasp what was once made by hands long turned to dust beneath layers upon layers of history layered within this village's very bones, so deeply embedded. They're almost part of its soul itself rather than mere artifacts waiting quietly behind latticed windows whose intricate patterns filter sunlight into kaleidoscopic mosaics on floors worn smooth by countless generations' footsteps, echoing faintly beneath your own as you wander deeper into its heart where time doesn't merely pass. It pauses mid-breath, just long enough for you to notice how every corner holds stories older than your own existence, yet told anew each day through rituals performed under twin moons glowing softly above fields, still yielding harvests centuries after their first sowing. Beneath skies unchanged since ancestors first looked up at constellations, guiding them home across mountain ridges now climbed daily by hikers seeking not just views, but communion with something far greater than themselves embedded within this landscape, so steeped in tradition it feels almost alive despite being frozen in time at first glance, until you realize it's not frozen. It's simply holding its breath, waiting for you to awaken it once more through your presence here today, amidst all this beauty both seen and unseen, woven seamlessly together into one unbroken narrative spanning millennia, yet still unfolding before your eyes now under autumnal skies, painted in strokes so vivid they seem borrowed straight from an artist's brush, dipped deep into hues only found here among these hillsides, where every leaf falls not as an end, but as part of an eternal cycle mirrored perfectly within this village's timeless embrace. As you ascend one of Huangling's winding staircases carved directly into hillside rock, a feat accomplished without modern tools, but rather through generations passing down techniques so precise they've turned stone into steps leading upward toward vistas that make even seasoned travelers pause mid-breath. You'll notice how each house is positioned not haphazardly, but deliberately according to feng shui principles passed down orally through families who've lived here longer than most nations have existed outside their borders. This isn't mere architecture. It's an intricate dance between human ingenuity and nature's indifference, a dance where every window faces south to catch morning light and every courtyard opens wide to welcome evening breezes that carry tales of ancestors who once gathered here to share meals and stories. Under starlit skies, now those same skies are reflected in pools of water that gather in sunken courtyards where lotus flowers bloom in silent defiance of time's relentless march. Even as children play by them today, their laughter mingles with echoes of past celebrations where music and dance once filled these spaces with such vitality that it seems as though the very stones still hum with residual energy from centuries ago, when this village was a beacon of culture and community amidst the quiet beauty of the Jiangxi Mountains. The village hums with life, even on its quietest days. When vendors set up stalls beneath ancient banyan trees whose roots sprawl outward like veins across the earth, while women in hand-woven sashes trade freshly picked tea leaves and handcrafted paper lanterns, their voices rise and fall in a melody unique to this place. One that sounds less like commerce and more like a conversation between past and present. As you watch them work, you can almost hear the echoes of their grandmothers who once wove these same fabrics using spindles made from locally sourced bamboo and techniques passed down through generations. Now those techniques are still practiced here, even as younger hands learn to balance tradition with modernity by creating new designs that honor old patterns, yet speak to contemporary tastes. This is a village where time isn't a line, but a spiral where every season brings new beginnings, yet old traditions remain unshaken by change. It's a place where you can see the weight of history pressing down on every corner, but also feel its lightness as it leans into the future with open arms and open hearts. To truly understand Huangling, you must walk its streets not just with eyes, but with all your senses. For instance, when you step into one of its sunken courtyards, you'll notice how the air feels different here. It's thicker than outside, as if holding onto memories too. Precious to let go, it's perfumed with the earthy scent of wet stone and freshly planted rice, while distant crops release a subtle sweetness that mixes with smoke from hearth fires still burning low in some homes despite being abandoned for days at a time. This is a village that smells of time. It's not just visited, but experienced through its very atmosphere, which seems to whisper stories about its people through fragrances alone, just as you'll feel the weight of history on your shoulders when you climb its stairs or hear the echoes of old songs played on bamboo flutes during festivals that still draw crowds despite being held long before your birth or mine. These are not just sounds, they're echoes of souls who once lived here, now resting beneath these same roofs. Their presence still lingers in every detail, from the carvings on door frames depicting scenes from folktales to the way light filters through latticed windows, casting patterns that shift throughout the day like constellations reappearing above fields each morning, as if time has been rewritten for this place to ensure its legacy lives on, not just in archives, but in living memory carried by every breath taken within its boundaries. What makes Huangling truly extraordinary is not just its beauty, but its hidden stories waiting patiently behind closed doors or beneath layers of dust. For instance, there's an ancient well hidden within one of its earliest buildings, said to have been used by generations of Hu family descendants who believed water from this well held healing properties passed down through bloodlines rather than scientific proof. Similarly, there's a secret garden tucked between two homes whose flowers bloom only during certain phases of the moon and are used by local women to create natural dyes for their fabrics. These stories are not just legends, they're living testaments to a culture that values mystery as much as it does tradition. Here, time doesn't just pass, it's collected in every corner until it becomes something sacred, something worth preserving, even when modernity offers easier paths or faster answers. Because in Huangling, everything is measured not by minutes, but by meaning each moment holds. Wait, because it's part of an unbroken chain linking past, present, and future together like threads in an unfinished tapestry that only completes itself when you become part of its story. If you're planning your visit, remember that Huangling comes alive most vibrantly during autumn, when leaves transform into flames across terraces and skies turn golden under morning sunlight. This is when you'll want to be here, because it's during these months that the village reveals its most extraordinary facets, from mornings where mist clings to roofs like veils over sleeping time to afternoons where sunlight filters through pine trees casting shadows that dance across stone floors like ghosts. Reenacting old rituals. For visitors who want more than just views, they should seek out specific corners, such as the Hu family ancestral hall, where intricate wood carvings tell stories of lineage and devotion, or follow local guides into hidden caves near village borders said to have been used as safe havens during historical turmoil. These are places where time doesn't just pause, it reverses briefly, offering glimpses into worlds long forgotten, yet still whispering their truths through cracks in walls or faint traces left by hands no longer here, but whose influence remains unyielding even as new visitors arrive, bringing fresh eyes, yet old souls seeking connection with something greater than themselves. There is one moment in Huangling that transcends all others. A single instant when you stand atop one of its highest terraces at dawn, watching light break over mountains shrouded in mist and realizing how small you are against such vastness. yet how deeply connected you feel to everything around you. This is what makes Huangling unique. It isn't just a place, it's an emotion and experience so profound it leaves you breathless, not because of grandeur alone, but because everything here feels alive. Because every stone seems to remember, every leaf appears intentional, every breath taken within these walls feels like participation in an eternal dialogue between humanity and nature, between past and present, between what was, what is, and what will be again. If you want to uncover more secrets of the East, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.